Hello and welcome back to Spin Cycle Live. I'm your host, Nathan Hale. Today is Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025, and it's a light day. We had quite a long show on Monday, so we're going to cut short a little bit today. Keep it nice than 30 minutes, hopefully. So I hope you're all doing very good. Yeah, it's a great day to be covering the news. So let's get right into our first story and some good news, and that is that Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois is stepping out of the ring for 2026. He will not be running for re-election. Dick Durbin is a Democrat from Illinois. He's 80 years old, and he's a ranking member of the House Judiciary or the Senate Judiciary Committee, So this is from Just the News. Illinois Democrat Senator Dick Durbin announced Wednesday that he will not be seeking re-election in 2026. Quote, "The decision of whether to run for re-election has not been easy," he wrote on the social media platform X. Quote, "I truly love the job of being a United States Senator, but in my heart, I know it's time to pass on the torch." It's been a while since he's felt like he needed to pass on the torch. Dick Durbin is 80 years old. This is his 5th term as a senator. He had that Illinois Senate seat on in a chokehold, man. Before that, he was a 7-term House member, and he's been serving in Congress since 1982. 1982, this man has been in government. This is why we need age limits on these people. Why is an 80-year-old how someone needs to explain to me how an 80-year-old senator is at all representative of our country as a whole at all, right? Every single time I see posts like this, it just reminds me how freaking old our Congress is, right? We have allowed our government to turn into nothing but old people. They're aging, decrepit old people running our government. This is not representative of me, that's for sure. It's certainly not representative of the vast majority of you watching this show. And it all goes down to I always ask myself, why do the Illinois people keep electing this man, this old decrepit thing, when there are better options out there? I haven't even looked at Dick Durbin's election records, but I'm sure there were other people running against him in at least a few of those elections that he ran since 1982. Why haven't we elected any of those people, right, to fill this position all the time, right? And I see stuff like this, I'm like, wow, 5th term senator, 7-term member of the House of Representatives. Maybe we do need term limits. I haven't always been the biggest fan of term limits, because who am I to say, how many times the Illinois people can elect somebody? But just get these people out. You've been there for too long, right? I've never been a fan of career politicians. The ideal politician in my mind is someone who already has successful business beforehand, or was successful in some other way before he came in office. I mean, let's see. So 82, 92, 02, 2012, 2022, 23, 24, 25. So that's 43 years he has been in government, right? So he's 80 now. So he's been in government since his mid-40s. This guy has been in office. Over like basically half his life, he's been in government. I mean, that's basically his entire career has been in government, right? So I don't know, man. It just blows my mind. I'm like, I don't know how you can look at someone and be so wooed by them that you keep electing them over and over and over again. And for 40 plus years, right? So glad to see Dirtball Dick Durbin is out of Congress in 2026. Time for the Illinois people to elect another dirtbag, because that's all they can seem to elect in that state. I'm sorry to all the great people of Illinois. There are many great people in the state of Illinois, but your entire state is being run by Cook County, and Cook County sucks. So if you live in Illinois, you know what I mean. But that's all I gotta say. I say that as someone who was a former resident of Illinois, for the record, right? I know how bad it is in your state. I know, I get it. I moved out. I left that state. I'm one of the reasons why they're losing so many people. I was one of them who left. I left before it got too terribly bad. So that's all I gotta say about Dick Durbin. See ya, Dick Durbin. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. All right. So from the New York Post, Trump weighs slashing China tariffs to 50 to 65% to help ease tensions, according to this new report that's coming out. So the White House is considering slashing its steep 145% tariff on Chinese imports, in some cases by more than half, to ease heated trade tensions with Beijing, according to a report. President Trump's massive tariff on China, which could raise prices on goods in the U.S. and hamper company earnings, will likely be lowered by between 50 and 65%, a senior White House official told the Wall Street Journal. His administration is also considering a tiered approach like the one proposed by the White House Committee on China last year, with at least 100% rates on crucial imports and lower 35% levies on items that do not pose national security risk, sources told the Journal. The White House is not currently looking to unilaterally slash tariffs on China, a White House official told the Post. Okay. Any such move would have to come through negotiations with Beijing, they added. Quote, President Trump has been clear China needs to make a deal with the United States of America. When decisions on tariffs are made, they will come directly from the president. Anything else is just pure speculation. A White House spokesperson told the Washington Post. So, crazy if true, if we're already lowering tariffs on China, that lasted all of what, a week or two? We had those high tariffs in place on China, and now we're already considering lowering them again. I mean, I've been critical of the whole tariff situation on this show. I don't totally buy if it's the right move or not for the president to be doing this or not. I especially don't think it was the right move to be putting the amount of tariffs we have on Canada, but I digress. What are we supposed to have gotten exactly out of these high tariffs, right? It was my understanding that we were imposing high tariffs to get a really good trade deal out of it, and then we'd have a really good trade deal out of it, and then no tariffs, right? Or have equal tariffs back and forth, so we're taxing each other's products accordingly. That was my understanding. And I have not heard any murmurings of a trade deal being signed or in the works, but I'm hearing murmurings now of us lowering the tariff. So why is that happening? And I don't know. It feels like you're just going back and forth with our economy. You impose tariffs like this, our stock markets crash, and lots of people lose money because of it. And then they kind of go back to normal, and then they're probably doing better now because we're suggesting lowering the tariffs, so people are feeling better about investing again. And then we're not going to lower the tariffs, and they're going to stay the same. So what's going to happen, right? The thing that I've always been so critical about with everything that's government related is, where's the plan of action at, right? Tell us what you're wanting to do. What is the actual goal here of the tariffs? Because I don't know. Nobody's saying anything, right? We just put these tariffs on. My understanding is we're getting a good trade deal out of it. But where's the plan at, right? Tell us what is actually the goal here so that we actually know what's going on, right? Give us a little bit more information on what's happening. So, yeah, interesting, crazy if true. But we'll see how that goes, and we'll keep you updated on the current tariff situation happening. That seems to be the biggest issue happening right now in the United States, people flipping out about the tariffs. I feel like we've kind of gotten over the mass deportation issue, which I'm kind of wondering what happened to all of that. And it's somehow just dropped out in the news for the most part. There's people complaining about certain individuals being deported who may or may not have been legally deported, right? That's up for discussion right now. But where are all the mass deportations at? Just a question I have. So that's all I gotta say about China. So I want to talk about Scott Bessent now a little bit. So Scott Bessent was at a IIF conference, it looks like, and he was talking about the IMF, which is the Monetary Foundation. I think it says Monetary Fund, International Monetary Fund. That's it. Excuse me. Getting my words mixed up. All right. So this is from Reuters. So U.S. Treasury's Bessent, urges IMF World Bank to refocus on core missions. So this is from Washington, D.C., April 23rd. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on Wednesday called on the International Monetary Fund and World Bank to refocus on their core missions of microeconomic stability and development, arguing they have strayed too far into vanity projects such as climate change that have reduced their effectiveness. No kidding. Bessent, in remarks outlining his vision for U.S. engagement with the IMF and World Bank on the sidelines of the institution's spring meetings, said they have they serve critical roles in the national financial system, which they do. They definitely do. Quote, the Trump administration is eager to work with them so long as they can stay true to their missions, Bessent said in prepared remarks on the Institute of International Finance. Quote, the IMF and World Bank have enduring value, but mission creep has knocked these institutions off course. We must enact key reforms to ensure the Bretton Woods institution are serving their stakeholders, not the other way around, he said, calling on U.S. allies to join the effort. Quote, America first does not mean America alone. Quote, the IMF was once unwavering in its mission of promoting global monetary cooperation and financial stability. Now it devotes disproportionate time and resources to work on climate change, gender, and social issues. These issues are not the IMF's mission. I think it's great. I think that there's a question at hand of if the U.S. should continue contributing into the IMF's funds right now. We're one of the largest contributors, if not the largest contributor to the IMF. And the International Monetary Fund does a handful of things. I would suggest going and looking at their website, and they'll tell you exactly what they're up to. Just doing a quick Google search. They do a whole lot of different things, but the short, in a nutshell, they're this international body, this non-governmental international body that has, I think they have like 190 some member states as a part of it. Who are all contributing something into this fund, and they work on handing out loans to countries for projects and everything. I think they're very active in a lot of developing countries like in Africa and South America, Asia, countries like this who need some extra financial backing or policy guidance or things along the lines of that, who can't totally do it themselves. So that's pretty much it. So I think there is a question at hand of if the United States should continue funding to that, if they're going to keep pushing money into things like climate change, social justice, gender ideology, things like this that right now our current administration does not stand with, which is we should not be standing with. That this is nothing that our tax dollars should be paying for. It's just yet another organization that U.S. money is leaving our country to go and benefit, right? And I'm never a fan of U.S. money leaving our country to go benefit other people. It should be benefiting us first, especially people who actually genuinely need it in the world or in the United States specifically. So I think that question's at hand, and I trust people like Scott Bessent, who's highly qualified for the position, to know how to navigate those waters. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with that going forward. But it's interesting it's being brought up and talked about. And I think that the IMF should keep looking over their shoulder, because Doge might be coming after it next. So, like I said, we'll see what happens with that. So the last story we got of today, like I said, slow news cycle today. This from the Daily Wire. Harvard sues to restore taxpayer funding frozen by the Trump administration. I want to talk about this on Monday. I couldn't get to it on Monday. We had other things to go over, but we're getting into it today. Harvard University sued the federal government on Monday over threats to cut taxpayer funding to the school. The lawsuit is the latest escalation in a growing feud between the Trump administration and the university. The government has put increasing pressure on the school over pro-Palestinian and pro-Hamas protests that rocketed the campus after the October 7th, 2023 terror attack on Israel. Last week, the Trump administration froze $2.2 billion in grants and $60 million in contracts to Harvard. The administration is reportedly considering freezing another $1 billion in funding after the college administration released a letter of demands from the government that government officials considered private correspondence amid the negotiations. Quote, "The consequences of the government's overreach will be severe and long-lasting," Harvard President Alan Garber said in an open letter announcing the lawsuit. Garber said the funding cuts would jeopardize the university's research project on childhood cancer. That's always the case. Have you noticed that whenever we talk about funding cuts or anything to an institution or anything that are from the Trump administration, the first thing they go to is, think of the children. Will someone please think of the children? All of these children are going to get impacted by Donald Trump cutting our funding, right? That's the first thing they jump to. Don't get caught up into it. See right through it. They fund a whole lot of other stuff, including childhood cancer research. With not that childhood cancer research shouldn't get funded, but just know that's always the first thing that they jump to is the childhood cancer research issue. So just saying. Quote, "The government has not and cannot identify any rational connection between anti-Semitic concerns and the medical, scientific, and technological and other research it has frozen that aims to save American lives, foster American success, preserve American security, and maintain America's position as a global leader in innovation," the lawsuit says. The Trump administration is leaning on Harvard and other universities, mostly elite Ivy League schools, to reform and reconstruct their administration over anti-Semitic incidents that have broken out on the campuses in recent years. The government's task force to combat anti-Semitism has led to push to crack down on the universities. Harvard, the oldest and wealthiest university in the United States, has made an aggressive push to counter the administration after Columbia University agreed to demands from the government in the hopes of getting its government funding restored. Harvard's antagonistic stance has frustrated officials in the administration. Quote, "Instead of grandstanding, Harvard should focus on rebuilding confidence among all students, particularly Jewish students," a White House spokesperson said in a statement to the Wall Street Journal on Monday. Quote, "The White House remains open to dialogue, but serious changes are needed at Harvard." The Trump administration has threatened to go beyond Harvard's access to federal funds, warning that the Department of Homeland Security may strip the university access to foreign exchange students as well. DHS has also demanded the university turn over records on its foreign exchange students accused of, quote, "illegal and violent activities." Good. Treasury Department officials have also reportedly considering revoking the university's nonprofit status. Why are we donating money to a university as a nonprofit university, right? They're a private institution. Why are they getting all this government funding from us? They should be a public university if they're getting government funding, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I think that this is a great thing that's happening. I have no issue with this whatsoever. If there were Ku Klux Klan, KKK protests taking place at universities across the country, talking about killing Black individuals on the campus, believe me, there would be a nationwide stir over all that happening. But when it's anti-Semitic protests, when it is pro-Palestinian individuals claiming to want to kill the lives of Jewish students on campus, making Jewish students feel uncomfortable, and specifically targeting them in protests, the left loves it and the right hates it, right? You're crickets from the left. They don't think that there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it, apparently. There's nothing wrong with it. So I think this is great. These universities need to learn what their place in the world is. And their place in the world is to be non-biased institutions that promote the good, the beautiful, and the true, which they're not doing right now. They're not promoting the good, the beautiful, and the true. And we can have a whole long debate on what exactly that means, but you get the idea from what I've said. Additionally, these universities deserve to get some flack and some pushback from the government based on the way they behaved over the past 2 years. Number one being Harvard University had an individual who plagiarized papers and who lied to people about it, sit in front of Congress and get a slap on the wrist. What did she do? She resigned. She resigned. That was it. Nothing else came about that. And I don't feel like people gave that enough credit for what happened with all that. The head of the largest university, the most prestigious university in the entire country, was caught plagiarizing papers. And someone elevated her to the top of the Ivy League ivory tower. And she plagiarized papers. Just saying, I think all these universities deserve to get a not just slap on the wrist, but to get their funding cut. If this research is so great, if it's so strong, they should be able to fund it themselves. They should be able to find that funding privately through their private donors. Or they should be a public university, in which case they would have more accountability to the public, to the government. But Harvard doesn't want to do that. So I'm within the university system right now. I see how this funding flows in and out of it. And I guarantee you a lot of that funding that Harvard is getting is not going to any research that is at all necessary to better the public welfare or the United States as a whole. I mean, cancer research is great, but I'm sure that a lot of that funding also goes to their gender ideology departments or their women's studies groups, and they're talking about critical race theory. I wouldn't be surprised. So I don't have the numbers in front of me on where their funding goes, but it'd be interesting to know. So I think this is great. I don't have any issue with this. All students should be protected on college campuses. There shouldn't be discriminatory practices happening. Protests are fine as long as they're not, spray painting buildings, wrecking places on campus. We saw what happened to Columbia. It was a disaster. So I have no issue. This is great. So push forward, push ahead. Godspeed. All right. Well, that's all I got today. Thanks for tuning in on this episode of Spin Cycle Live. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Rumble page. Follow me on X, Instagram, TikTok, all the social media platforms at HomoNation. And we will see you back here on Monday. I've just realized that our ticker across the screen was the wrong one the entire time. Misread that. Excuse me. Now it's correct. So we'll see you back here on Monday for another episode of Spin Cycle Live. If you're Canadian, get out and vote. If you're one of our Canadian watchers, get out and vote. Vote Conservative. Show your country that it is strong, that you need new leadership. Canadian elections are happening on Monday. Keep an eye out for that. We'll be talking about what's looking like in the polls and everything on Monday. People will be voting as we're doing the show. Next Wednesday, we'll have those results for you and we'll be talking about them. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's always interesting when a major country in the world has elections that come up and how they're going to go. So pray for Canada that they get good new leadership in and don't elect another ideologue who's currently running for the Liberal Party. Well, with that, I have been Nathan Hale. This has been Spin Cycle Live. I will see you all on Monday. Have a great weekend. Peace out.